Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to a Monday night's Talking Town. Here to discuss the day that was obviously Ipswich Town 0, Manchester City 6. Want your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings, anything and everything in terms of what you thought about yesterday and what you think about long term. Mike Baker kicks off by saying, "I honestly don't get the meltdown." We haven't said anything yet, Mike. Give us a chance to melt down before you say it. So, he says, slapped by the Premier League champions, one of the best teams in the world. Yes, disappointing, but not surprising. They are world class. We move on. Dub Chief, changing back three with just one day to train since Brighton was bonkers decision and not respectful of the champions. Well, if that is the case, Dub Chief, they certainly took out that disrespect on us. Don't forget, we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. You can, if you want to help save lives and have the chance to win over £1,000 every week, play the East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery. By playing from just £1 each week, you're hoping to get their yellow helicopters flying. The East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery creates 18 winners every week with prizes ranging from £50 to £1,000. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Link is in our description. Please be gamble aware and gamble responsibly. And because that is an advert that, like I've just read that completely wrong, really, if I'm honest. That'd be clipped up on how not to read an advert for your advertisers. I messed it up from start to finish, a bit like Town yesterday, in all honesty. Felix So Blue says we got. I'll let you read his comment in the chat. Rob Holmes, a question. I appreciate the quick turnaround, but there was too many changes in the back line. We need to settle back lineup. Do you agree? I will ask the boys when they come in. And the fisherman, he's here. He says it's the man of the defeat, not the defeat itself. Non-existent midfield. That is on the talking points this evening. Joining me is, as always, Mr. Matthew Phillips. Welcome in, Matt. Are you well?
Good, thanks. You?
Not too bad. Full of cold or tonsillitis? Not quite sure.
You sound it. You've been struggling with that for the last week, though.
For the last 25 years.
Yeah,
in all
honesty. Too much medical history, right? But yeah, okay.
I'm the only person who have their tonsils removed and still get tonsillitis.
Yeah, I that's like, something. That's something.
It's only me. Only happened to me. I'll ask you first of all what Rob asked. I appreciate the quick turnaround, but were there too many changes in the back line for you?
Yeah. I mean, it's a broken record. McKenna makes too many changes from game to game. I mean, what's the average? 4, 5 per match?
It is, yeah.
I don't really understand it. I mean, we've said quite a lot on the show now. It doesn't really give you a chance to build really lasting partnerships with the players around you when you're constantly tinkering. All right, they're on the training ground with each other, but it's very different to a match situation in front of 30,000 yesterday or wherever it's going to be up at Anfield on Saturday. So yeah, I think he makes too many changes, but I mean, that's not a new opinion from me. I've said that right from the off. Well, you could argue he was doing that in League One. I mean, you think back to the Bristol Rovers game when Chaplin and Broadhead were on the bench. We were like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah, that was something he was, certainly from memory, pre-Bristol Rovers, that night in Bristol. And then after that, he sort of settled, and then Championship was all settled. But that's what you think. And as you say, you've said it before. So let's get the opinion of the third member of the team this evening. Is the one, the only, Mr. Mark Tuxford. Welcome in, Mark. What are your thoughts on Rob's question there about are there too many changes in the back line?
Yeah, from a point of view of continuity, I suppose. I suppose if you're someone like Luke Wolfenden, who I don't think was on the bench last night, was he?
No, I don't think he was.
So, you probably, if you're him, you're probably sitting there thinking, I've come back into the team recently. Same with Burgess, a couple of weeks ago as well, where you all of a sudden find yourself out of the team. But we know what McKenna's like, and he will pick a team tactically, I suppose, and matching player for player. I wasn't surprised to see Burgess come back in to sort of try and deal with Haaland in terms of his stature. But yeah, I think it can affect the players somewhat, especially if you're a newer player like Godfrey, who's trying to, build relationships with those around him in the defence as well. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you can't question McKenna too much in terms of his, tactical picking or tinkering, if you like, because he's got us to where we are. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is really, but I think there is probably, an argument for saying that he does tinker probably a bit too much sometimes. But yeah,
I agree with that. Although I would also push back and say, it feels like consistency in the Championship was also an overriding factor. Everyone knew the runs, the movement, the patterns. You know, there was that overriding consistency in the championship, but a lot of that, Tux, could also be attributed to the fact everyone in the championship was on it. They were on form. They were undroppable at times. Is there arguably anybody in this team outside of Delap that's undroppable at this moment in time, where you can really say that, you know, he's played really well this season or the last 5 or even at certain periods, you know, where they haven't really had that run of form in which you would say they don't deserve to be dropped?
Yeah, I mean, Leif Davis is a shoe-in pretty much all the time, though, isn't he? But other than Delap and himself, then I don't know anyone else that's really kind of, you know, sort of took the shirt and really ran with it, I suppose. You could say Morsey is one of those, but he's probably struggled a little bit in recent weeks, just given his age and obviously the pace of the game in the Premier League, really.
Yeah, agreed.
But I think everyone else is probably the shirt is up for grabs. But then I think, you know, even in League One Championship, okay, yeah, you probably had players that were on form. You know, Chaplin and Burns were always certain starters and things like that. But there was always an element of tinkering there, even if it was taking them out for a game or two.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah.
Saying that, Matt, obviously there's a couple of comments in the chat. One from JB, one from Banger After Banger DMB. What are you using now, by the way? Banger After Banger DMB. Take your word for it. All right, I'll call you Banger for short from now on. But we started the game well. JB says 10 minutes. Banger says 25 minutes. And to be fair to both of them, they're right. We did start the game fairly decently. We threatened. We looked good from set pieces. Can we talk about set pieces? But for that first, let's say 20, let's try and cut it down the middle. We looked all right. We looked like we were going to have almost a Chelsea type performance.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, we said, you know, outside Pullman Road last night, didn't we? That 25 minutes we saw yesterday was far better than the 90 minutes we saw against Brighton, you know, 48, 72 hours before on the Thursday evening. Amari was very unlucky. You talk about free kicks, mine. You had the ball on the left side of the box, didn't they? Passed it to the D. He lashed it with his left foot, hits Haaland at the top of his head, hit the ponytail, didn't it? The 200 million ponytail. Flew over the bar. That was unlucky. But yeah, I mean, look, if you'd said to me at that point, at the 25th minute mark, you're going to lose 6-0. Yeah, I would have thought you was won too many points before the game started. But what was one of the problems we said after the Brighton game was that McKenna said once Matoma had scored that opening goal there, heads had dropped or the belief wasn't there anymore. And we collapsed like a deck of cards, didn't we? Once Foden put them 1 up and it was 2, and then it was 3, and then the game. Yeah, the game is gone then, isn't it? The game was gone at half time, really. And like I said yesterday, it doesn't really matter what the score is after that. 4, 5, 6, they only get 3 points. All it gets battered is our pride and our goal difference. That's the most annoying thing because we was level pegging with Wolves.
Yeah, and I give criticism on this platform about our attacking set pieces, and I often say, can we talk about the set pieces in a sort of sarcastic way? But I generally think they were really decent yesterday. We looked threatening for the first time in a long time from them. We had some creativity with a free kick, which is pleasing to see. And then the fine margins, I keep talking about them, and I'll talk about them for the rest of the season. But Tux, obviously, a big part of that opening 20, we'll call it, was Ben Godfrey on that right side of the back 3, back 4. It kept changing in game. And there was a couple of movements, a couple of times when he got down that wing, him and Ben Johnson really linked up quite well. How did you see the debut of Ben Godfrey? And what a debut to come into. Welcome back. Here's Erling Haaland. And co.
Yeah, I actually thought it was quite a poor performance from Godfrey, if I'm honest. Purely from a defensive display. No one covered themselves in any glory whatsoever, but there was I think it was at least sort of two of the goals where he was out of position, wasn't really tracking his man, and I don't know whether it was just, again, it was, new signing trying to, build a rapport with his teammates or whatever. But I thought defensively he wasn't brilliant. I think he'll have better games. I'm certainly not writing him off because, we've done that previously with someone like O'Shea, who, has probably actually been one of our better players this year. So, the jury's still out on Godfrey. But, I think it was a difficult night for him, as most of the other players. But I didn't think he really covered himself in glory in terms of defensively. But yeah, there was certainly highlights in terms of him going a bit forward, joining in with the, attacking play. But yeah, I thought defensively as a unit we were poor.
Mm.
You know, the heads
Very much
heads
so.
dropped. I think Godfrey was probably one of those that his heads dropped as well. And yeah, it was. I'd probably give him probably a 5 out of 10 if I'm honest, if maybe lower than that. So yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why I pulled with that that American Office gif where with the actors going. That's I pulled that face when I realised actually I think having not played against Brighton, he's probably going to be parachuted into this lineup against Man City because it's such a big team, big game, world-class players to be. He's not played a lot of football at Atalanta, so he's not coming into it sort of you would have thought banging form, humming.
No.
He's being parachuted in and saying, "We'll go on in, sink or swim, we'll get on with
well,
it."
I do wonder whether maybe in hindsight, McKenna won't admit to this. I wouldn't have thought, but he probably will sit there and think, it might not have been the right game to bring him in for. Because I think Wolfie, since he's come back in, has looked quite solid. So, and he's a similar player to Wolfie, where he'll try and bring the ball out from the back, and albeit he hasn't got as much pace as Godfrey, but he's certainly one that's a ball playing centre half. So I was kind of a bit surprised, but in the same light I wasn't, because Godfrey has got Premier League experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I did think that he might come in a way, because he can sort of combat the attacking threat from a Premier League experience point of view, I guess. But obviously that wasn't to be. So yeah.
And 2 England caps, Tux, not to forget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what, Matt? I think I've heard this a lot about that. He's had a couple of England caps and stuff like that. But for me, England caps get dished out far too easily now.
Except Leif Davis.
Yeah, except Leif Davis.
Yeah. But otherwise, if you think about it, over the last, certainly under Southgate's tenure, there was, caps being handed out left, right, and centre for younger players, and albeit they were in friendlies and things like that, which is fine. But I think there's an element of it at the moment which is just handing them out for the sake of it, in a way.
Yeah, and there was that argument. There's too many friendlies as it is anyway. A lot more games these days. And Felix Though Blue made 2 comments. First of all, I want to say it out loud. He says, "Phillies should have pulled the Ian Marshall. What do you expect me to do?" line. Obviously, that was the Man United. We were almost in danger of releasing our own 9-0 yesterday. I felt at one point. I thought,
the sequel.
yeah, Man City going to do it. And he also said, Doku tore our right side a new one. And I was quite frustrated, Matt, during the game. And I know it's easy as a fan, somebody who's never played above Sunday morning football, to say it, but Doku just wanted to come inside every single time. And I was screaming, just show him the byline. Don't try and show him inside where, as a defender, your numbers should be greater. So he should be going into traffic. This is a player that wants to come inside, has got ability to beat you. So show him the byline. Keep showing him the byline and say, I'm going to take you there. And if you can beat me there, fair play. But we didn't do it every time. Watch both goals back. Ben Johnson showing him inside. And I'm thinking that's where he wants to go, Matt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we even go further than that, don't we? Clark actually passes straight to him for the Haaland goal.
That helps.
I mean, look, I don't want to be too critical. Doku's 52 million quid.
He's a good player. He's a world-class player.
I'd Manchester City have paid that money for him. It was always going to be talk about the office, a tough day at the office. And I do agree with Tux about Godfrey a little bit. But then I feel sorry for him. And like you rightly say, it was his league debut, but he made his actual debut against Bristol Rovers in the Cup, which, is a bit like going to Teddy Bear's picnic and then being thrown into the gladiatorial lions den of the Coliseum against Manchester City. I mean, contrasting matches, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we look like Man City ourselves against Bristol Rovers. So it was sobering. But yeah, I think Godfrey made a few errors yesterday. I mean, I don't think O'Shea covered himself in glory. I mean, you could argue the Doku goal actually deflects off him, which is unlucky. But I agree with what McKenna said, really. The defence kept their shape, but they didn't actually defend. Yeah. And if you look at the Kovacic goal, O'Shea knows the shot's coming because he's put his hands behind his back, but he don't stick a foot out to try and block the shot.
Well, this is the thing that frustrated me was that there was no pressure really, other than when they had the ball in the back 4 or back 3, whatever they play. So there was no pressure other than that. But also, we gave them so much respect and gave them so much space and opportunity to create or find or pick a pass, but we couldn't even get near them. That was the whole point of it. We couldn't actually get anywhere bloody near them. And that's just a testament to Man City and how good they are. But I saw the heads drop, especially after that second and third goal. I looked at Morsey, and you're looking at someone who's meant to be your captain, your Mr. you know, Mr. Sam Morsey, the captain who's been great for us this year in previous years as well. But you know, it's even if his head goes down, then a lot of the other players' heads are going to go down because they're looking at him to get them, you know,
Damage
rejuvenated,
limitation, isn't it?
motivated.
Damage
So,
limitation at that point.
Which,
I mean,
by the way, sorry, man, go on.
I was going to say that can be the only thing that McKenna said to them in the dressing room. Damage limitation here, like you say. Otherwise, we were facing 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, just to mention on Ben Godfrey before we moved on to the other areas that talk about characters, and they want to bring a certain character into the group and leaders, etc. And Ben Godfrey was one of the first people over to Jack Clark after that mistake and put his arms around him and picked him up. And I just thought that as a new player, new to the group, showed the type of character you've brought into the group. And I know they're big on the characters of their recruitment, and I liked that. I know I didn't like the score, I didn't like the mistake as much, you know. But that was a moment that shows that togetherness, particularly from a new player. But you mentioned the heads dropping, Tugs, and I said this post game that was my biggest concern, really, out of a 6-0 defeat. Sounds strange, but McKenna sort of said it himself after Brighton, I think, if I'm right in saying that, where the belief left us when Brighton went a goal up. And you're talking about that now in terms of yesterday. Those little things, they can manifest and they can build and they can grow. And that doesn't actually matter on the opposition. So, yes, it was Man City. Week before was Brighton. But if you go a goal behind in any game, those little things can start to creep out in your squad of that lack of belief. Is that fair to say? And that's a concern I've got going forward, and something I'm more worried about after yesterday.
Yeah, well, I saw that against when we played Newcastle at home. I think they were 3-0 up before half time because obviously Muric gave away that that goal just before half time. And you know, watching the players again, the heads dropped, and it's hard to when your head goes down, it's hard to get it back up again in that same game. And you're right about that going into future fixtures, that can then have an effect on that. You know, we've only got Liverpool at the weekend, you know, and it's one of these where heads go down again and it could be a 4-5-0 again. And it's kind of, how do you get rid of that? How does McKenna get rid of that? How does he motivate his team moving forward? And the answer is, I don't know. And, you know, I was listening to him on Suffolk on the way home last night, and he said he can get over it, but it's a question of whether the players can. And
he believes they can.
And he said he got enough trust in the players. He's got enough belief in them to do that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sort of really listen to somebody straight after a game because you're going to say those things. You are going to say those things. At this point, it's just words. But what's happening on the training ground? Can they actually, you know, move on from it? And, you know, because confidence is a wonderful thing in football. If you have it, you go and win leagues, you go and win cups and all that sort of stuff. If you don't, then that's where it sort of turns.
Yeah, you say Matt says he doesn't know how you sort of turn that around. The issue I've got is I think I know how you turn that around. The issue is it's not going to happen per se, because what tends to turn that around is positive results, momentum building. And I'm not talking 2-2 draw at Fulham when you should have perhaps won the game. I'm talking a win or two or three wins. You start stacking wins. Very same way Palace did, you know, after us, they stacked some wins and suddenly away they went. That's how you do it. You get that belief back through the group, but that only comes with results and wins. And you've got Liverpool on the horizon. It doesn't get any easier because you are the Forest Green effectively of the division, in the sense of everyone's looking at you and going, there's 3 points, there's goals, we can look at that and target that. That's how I look at it. And I'm just looking at thinking, okay, you know, when we play Wolves, we're winning 1-0 and they equalise. Does that creep back into that, oh no, here we go again? When you play other teams, that's my concern moving forward, and sort of watching the group and see how they react from this point.
Yeah, the only way of getting over it is getting through the back-to-back of getting through playing Manchester City, damage limitation, Liverpool on Saturday, and then you've got the polar opposite of Southampton at Portman Road, a team that's more on our level, really. But we've looked at the fixture list throughout the season and said, where can we put back-to-back wins together? And we've just not been able to. We've not been able to do it at all, have we?
I think the trouble we've got at the moment is we don't know what Ipswich we're going to get. From game to game, we don't know what one we're going to get. And okay, that depends on the opposition sometimes, yes. But you know, you don't know what Ipswich you're going to get. You know, one week we're beating Chelsea, You know, one week
Yeah.
we're losing 4-0 to Newcastle, one week we're losing 6-0 to City, and you think, you know, like these are quality teams. And okay, maybe some of them have like a bad day or whatever else, and that's one of the reasons why we might have won. But you know, I don't know how you can lose 6-0 to a City and then produce what was quite a fantastic performance against Chelsea,
Mm.
who albeit aren't really that far away on this season's mantra, because
And
City
hiding
haven't
them in
been
the
great at all
table
this
at
year.
that point.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. It's funny. It's funny how you watch some games and you don't know what Ipswich you're actually going to get yet.
Yeah, I think you're totally right there. But I mean, look, it's been a roller coaster already, hasn't it? Where they're only human, where they've had quite big blows, haven't they? You know, they dropped the 2-goal lead at Brentford and end up losing 4-3. You've had winning 1-0 in the 87th minute against a really good Bournemouth team. You end up losing the game, don't even get a point from that. And obviously the Leicester game where we don't get the pen, Phillips gets sent off, then they go right down in the 90th minute and score, take 2 points off our plate. So they've had a lot to contend with. And also getting busted 4-0 by Newcastle and 3-0 at half time, like you rightly say, Tux, and 6-0 the other night, last night.
Brentford away.
Lots to contend with. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They're big blows, aren't they? They're big blows mentally.
Do you know what, though? I don't think those are the big blows. I think the big blows for me were the Villa game at home, the Fulham game at home, some of these games that we should have actually won. Leicester we should have won by an absolute country mile, because, you know, it's only because we got a man sent off and, you know, got a goal towards the end. And, you know, it's games like that where, okay, it's a lot of it is game management. It was earlier in the season, but you'd think that we should be improving in those certain areas, and I don't think we have, if I'm honest, as yet. But talking to big blows, I think those are more of a big blows, because, okay, you expect to lose against City, right?
Yeah,
you probably expect to lose against Newcastle, but, you know, home games against those teams earlier in that season for me were the big blows.
Yeah, and then I bring it back round. You look at the league table, and we're right still in the fight. We're third from bottom on goal difference, albeit obviously Wolves play this evening, and you're still banging the fight. And it comes back around to this Premier League season, particularly as a team that's just come up, or a team that, you know, is all about survival, like some of the other teams in the division that have been here a while. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's how well you can contend with the blows. It's how well you contend with the not winning week to week, the 8 games without a win, the games where you should be winning but you don't. It's how well, and that's what it will come down to. How well us, Wolves, Everton, all contend with those different ingredients of a Premier League season when you're down the bottom. And we're banging the fight. That's the good news. You know, we've not been at our best.
Wolves are losing 1-0 already. Chelsea went up.
There you go. You know, when that's the thing to take into it, and there's some big games on the horizon, some teams around us. So there'll be some big fixtures to come. And of course, as we go into those fixtures, you look at past games, you look at what's gone on yesterday, etc. And a couple of comments, Joe S. Feels the formation changes created huge problems. We have Leaf, like last year, bombing down the wing and to turn back as no number 10. Midfield is breaking on us because Morsey and Kyo used almost as centre-backs. Rob Holmes, midfield got completely overrun yesterday. I hate to say it, but both Morsey and Kyo were both under par yesterday, albeit against world-class players. And there's been a big conversation on our Discord today in regards to the central midfield area. And I'll ask you both, do we need to go in and bring in a central midfield player in this window? If so, what type of midfield player? And if we don't, what's the best balance of the players you've got? Is it still a Sam Morsey next to a insert, or maybe it's time you thought about another combination? Matt, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I don't know. We've been linked to that Glenn Kamara, haven't we? He was at Leeds and then has gone to Rennes in the French league, where he's not really featured that much. And I see we've been linked to him, as have Southampton. Why do you want to go there? God only knows. And various other clubs, I think. So, mate, I mean, Matic was another one, wasn't he? From the French league. These sort of rumours from legitimate sources as well. I mean, there's not sort of, you know, James Smith from 20 followers on Twitter or whatever. I mean, these are people with hundreds of thousands of followers and legit journalistic sources on the continent. So perhaps they are in the market there. I mean, we keep saying, don't we, Morsey's coming towards the end of his career at Ipswich, so would need replacing, be it skill level and leadership. But I mean, Martin, you liked the partnership of Phillips and Cahuste, didn't you, in the Brighton game?
I did.
Obviously Phillips wasn't available yesterday, unfortunately. So would have been interested to see whether or not that dynamic would have stayed the same, or Morsey would have come back in regardless. But I'm not sure what the answer is to that, to be honest with you. I mean, as Tuck said, the team is so unpredictable. You don't know what team McKenna's going to pick, and you don't know what kind of performance that 11 that he does pick he's going to put out there. And, you know, at the top of the season, everyone was saying, oh, Morsey's doing really well. Now everyone's going, oh, his legs are going. Maybe he should start from the bench. So, I mean, everyone's sort of 360 and a lot of opinions that they had at the top of the season. I mean, if you look at the top of the season, Tux, look at that performance we put in against Liverpool, that are runaway leaders of the Premier League right now. I mean, their fans that day were saying, give us a point at half time. We'd take it now. I mean, in the end, we narrowly lose 2-0. I mean, we'd probably find out what happens when we go to Anfield on Saturday, but just shows you how long the season is, I guess. But I don't know what the answer to that is, to be honest with you, Mike. Cahuste doesn't finish games, does he?
No, but then not many do.
The jury's out on Phillips a little bit, really. I don't know what you think, Tux. I personally think he's been under par. Morsey has not looked great over the kind of Christmas period, I suppose. Yeah, it's an issue. Certainly when you're coming up against Kovacic and Gundogan.
Yes, absolutely. Tux, same questions to you, Tux.
Yeah. Obviously, last night, you know, Morsey and Hughes weren't at it whatsoever, as Matt said. And I think that kind of highlights the issue that we've got there, is that I think we just need a bit of energy, a bit of legs in midfield. I think that's what it actually is. And
bang on.
You know, I don't know, you know, what names we can throw about, what sort of players we can throw about at the moment. But in terms of a midfield profile we need, I think is actually energy. Obviously, you know, in the mould of Sam Morsey, who's got more energy essentially, but you know, you kind of need that in there. And looking at every single position in this team at the moment, again, no one's, other than a couple, maybe three, you know, everyone's shirt is up for grabs. So that means to me that everyone's position should be kind of looked at in the window, and areas of the pitch should be looked at. But yeah, I don't know in terms of names, but I think certainly within that kind of area where you should be winning a ball, should be, you know, putting players through, you know, whether it's a number 10 we're starting, a number 9, whoever it might be, we need to have that kind of killer pass instinct, I suppose. But the most important thing for me is energy, and that's probably something that Morsey's been lacking. At least I'd probably say for the last 4 or 5 games, if I'm honest.
Energy is a great word, because I think that's exactly what it is this midfield needs, and that's why I've never been in favour of the Matic link, because I've got 4 midfield players at the moment that, you know, you could argue lack the explosive box-to-box energy we're looking for. Will Matic at this point of his career bring that? My answer is probably not. I haven't seen him play. Might be completely wrong. He might be an energetic box-to-box midfield player at this stage of his career, but I doubt it. And that's why I've been against that sort of move from the start, because I've got 3 other players that can kind of do what I expect him to do, Matt. But before you do jump in, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you've taken out a 10 for this change of formation, which we all wanted. We all thought, you know, okay, yeah, get more solid. That's what we need. But you're taking an attacking player out of the equation to play another centre half. Whether you play him as a right back halfway through a game or not, irrelevant. You're still taking an attacking player out of the equation. So when you break, our transition needs to be quick. And part of that transition needs to be a midfield player that's breaking his neck to get into that box, to join into that attack. Otherwise, what you end up doing is effectively Delap wins it, lays it off. He's then out of position. And you've got Amari or whoever the other 10 is on the ball with very, very few options. And our transition then stops. 2 touch, 3 touch, pass it back, goes back. And before you know it, they're back in their number. You're back playing Paul Lambert, a little bit Paul Lambert asthmatic ball, you know, in terms of keeping it along amongst yourselves. And
we don't get enough people in the box, do we? That was one of the bugbears we had the other night, wasn't it? Isn't Cahuste bringing the energy, though? Isn't that his role to do that, to break? I mean,
it is, but after 60 minutes, he's done, isn't he? And
he's done, yeah.
It's the same as Delap, where, you know, he can run around God knows how many minutes throughout the game, but he's ultimately going to need somebody to come on and sort of finish the job, essentially. So,
and you're certainly not going to get that. You're certainly not going to get that. That what you're trying to get there in terms of breaking quickly with the ball, the transition, energy into the box. You ain't going to get that from Morsey and Phillips as a partnership, which was the partnership that they were starting to see Liverpool out of the equation that they started the season with.
Yeah, and you also, you know, you're lacking. You know, maybe somebody who has that killer pass, someone has that passing range, and you know, which maybe Phillips can potentially bring into it. Yeah, but somebody who can, you know, move the ball quickly, can pick a pass, can play a pass. There's a quality.
That was peak Phillips, though. That was Calvin at his peak could do that, but
yeah, you know, and I just look at that midfield yesterday, and not just yesterday, but other weeks, and I'm just thinking, particularly with the change of formation, guys, you so desperately need that energy because he's got to be a holder, but more than a holder, he's got to be something that actually is a part of the attack, because you are the missing 10 of which we sacrificed for our third centre half. And if you're going to stick with the formation, you need it, and that's where I'm looking. I don't know who the name is, but bring me energy, bring me a Duracell bunny, because I need him.
I'm almost thinking away the kind of formation we're playing at the moment doesn't actually suit a Morsi and a Kayust, because they're far too defensively, but they suit it if we're playing 4 at the back, because you obviously need 2 sort of pivots in there, but you don't need really 2 pivots in there if you've got 5 at the back. So for me, if you're going to stick with this formation of 5 at the back, then I'd be looking at Jack Taylor personally, because he does give you some energy, and albeit he might not have the defensive qualities, but he is good. He is good going forward. He's a box to box. He's what you'd call like a number 8 player, really. So I'd like to see him maybe give more of a chance if we're playing this formation, alongside a Morsi or Kayust or whoever. But I think he would add some energy in there. But whatever, if we're playing the 4 at back, I do think it's probably more for a Morsi or a Phillips or someone like that. But we do need some energy in there quite desperately, really.
I agree, Tux. If you're going to 4 at the back, I think Morsi is your midfield holder. And he does that job really well. If you're playing 3 at the back, and that back 5 out of the shape, I really would like to see or take a look at, certainly, Kayust and Taylor. See what they've got about them. See if they've got a bit more mobility in terms of getting up and down the pitch. Because Jens is a good tackler, but he's also a really tricky player. He'll turn out of danger. He can pick a pass from side to side, etc. Those 2 might be interesting. It's a big shout. He's our skipper. He's our leader. He's everything Mr. Ipswich Town has been. But with the formation that's been changed, it certainly doesn't at this moment in time feel like, Matt, it suits Sam Morsi, because you're asking the midfield 2 to be a little bit more up and down as opposed to you sit and you defend.
So as the season has progressed and we find ourselves in the bottom 3 and we're desperately trying to get survival and trying to move all the pieces that we've got available to us into a formation that will yield results. As McKenna now, that sounds like to me what you're saying there is McKenna hasn't got the right pieces for the formation he wants to play.
Possibly I think ultimately he's got this formation because we weren't doing it in the way he wanted to originally, which was the 4-2-3-1. So, but it frustrates me so much. I know it was against City, so you're not going to have that much of the the play or the ball. But last night it was painfully obvious that when we play this formation, that there's literally nothing in between the 2 pivots and Delap. You've got no number 10, so there's literally like a wide open space there that centre halves can walk into and play a ball and pick a ball. But we haven't got anything in there when we're playing this formation. We cuts it out.
You're right, Tux. And we said that was my issue, right? I mean, when we first saw this formation at the Emirates against Arsenal, that's because defend all day. The lap got 13 touches in that game, was something daft.
Yeah,
it was ludicrous. I mean, the writing was on the wall a little bit against the elite sides when you're playing that formation. You're quite right. It just isolates Delap out of the game, and Delap is your pivotal player, your top scorer, makes things happen.
And you really see it on that transition, as I said earlier. Yeah, the speed of our transition, which is why often we check it and come back so often, because the numbers are so few, and the breaking into midfield it is also so few. Quickly, in terms of, obviously there was rumours before the game the goalkeeper maybe switched. I think through injury or whatever it may have been. It wasn't the case. Walton was in goal. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, how do you rate his performance? Because I'm pretty sure he's got a sore back today through real no fault of his own, in truth. But have we got a top Premier League? Well, not even a top one. Have we got a Premier League goalkeeper on our books? Tux, if so, is the right one playing? Would you stick with Walton? Are you a Muric? I know you're not a Muric fan. I know I'm not going to ask that question, but do we need a goalkeeper? Where are you on the goalkeeper debate? Because again, that's like the midfield. That's something else that's been rumbling on all down our Discord.
I think we've got the right one playing, but I don't think we've got a Premier League goalkeeper.
Okay. So would you be in the market for a goalkeeper as well?
Yeah, like I say, I think all the positions are up for grabs at the moment. No position is sorted. Even established Premier League sides are looking at always, upgrading their positions, if you like. So, I'm pleased Walton's back in. I think he should still keep the shirt because I think he's, much better than Muric for me, even with his feet. But he's he's a proper goalkeeper in that sense. I mean, yes, you could say that certain goals or certain shots maybe Muric might have done better with, because he is not a bad shot stopper, I guess. But ultimately, you want your goalkeepers to do the goalkeeper things and not giving the ball away so many times. So yeah, I do think we've got the right goalkeeper starting at the moment, but ultimately, whether he's a Premier League goalkeeper, I'm not so sure. I don't think McKenna's going to go out and get a goalkeeper, though. This is the thing for me, because I feel like he'll look at it from a point of view that he spent money on Muric. Unless he can get rid of Muric or someone, then maybe. But at the moment, if it's just them three goalkeepers, I can't see him getting another goalkeeper in personally.
Is it fair to say, Matt, that we've gotten poorer in the transfer kitty, but not better in the goalkeeping department?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we said right at the top of the season, it was ludicrous that the keeper that had contributed greatly to our promotion, Haladki, had gone to Burnley on a free. Yet we've had to pay 8 million for the keeper that took them down to come and play for us in the Premier League. I mean, it just seemed ludicrous to me. And we were debating it, weren't we, on the phone earlier? Would it have been better to keep Haladki, give him the contract he'd wanted, so you've got the continuation tuck, the momentum of the promotion team with that same goalkeeper there, playing in the style that they wanted to play in?
I do have to disagree, Matt. I don't think Haladki would have offered anything different. Okay, he might have been better with his feet. Yeah, he might have started the season potentially, but I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have been in a better position if we'd have kept him.
I agree with you. I'd prefer to have Walton in. I mean, look, Muric hasn't even played a game, has he, in the league since Arsenal? He still leads the top of the table of errors by individual players that have led to goals. He ain't played for like a bloody month or whatever it is. So look, I'm sure Muric is a great guy to have around. If we had him on the show, I would imagine he's a great guy. But he has cost us games in a league where we are in a dogfight, level pegging with Wolves at the bottom of the table. He's just cost us too much, really. I don't think either's the answer for next season, regardless of what division. Well, maybe Walton if we was in the Championship. But Muric has been a massive failure for me, to be honest with you. It's cost us too much. Disappointing, because we was all behind him at the start of the season. Yeah,
it's disappointing because I was a big Muric fan, and I thought it would come good at this for us just throughout the season. So I was disappointed when he was. I was in the minority of fans. It feels like that wouldn't have wanted him out of the side when he was obviously left out. I think it was a car strain that left him out in the end. But I was very much supporting of him there, and I would still put him back in goal. He would still be my number one. You can give me the defensive stat again if you like, Matt, about errors. I'm
surprised you say that, Gov. Why would you?
I think if you take away those mistakes, as I said last week, which you can't, and I understand you can't. If you do, I think he's, and it might be margins, but I think he's a better goalkeeper. Certainly more commanding in his area. And I'd like to see him
personally.
Well, fine lines. It's fine lines. I think.
As I said, and that was my caveat. It's a fine margin. You could argue it's the fine margin. It is the finest of margin, which is a bigger disappointment because we've spent obviously a fee, and it shouldn't be a fine margin for me on a fee.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't.
And that's obviously something the club's got to look at in terms
of. We're talking an 8 million keeper here, and Ederson in goal yesterday, 35 million.
Yeah, but still 8 million for us is still a lot of money, Matt.
It is, yeah.
You know, it's not 20 million for Philogene, but it's still for 8 million. I wanted to get much better. And even if you said, right, Haladki's in the club now, you got those three goalkeepers. Even £8 million, it's still a fraction either direction.
There's no choice though, really, wasn't it, to take a keeper that's just been relegated with Burnley and expect him to I don't know. I don't know what McKenna was expecting from him.
Should have signed Trafford.
Yeah. Should have kept Haladki. I mean, that's my. I said that all along, really. Well, I mean,
anyone got Bartman's number? Anyone got Bartman's number?
Yeah, you'd have had him back in, wouldn't you?
Absolutely would have had him back. All right, look, as we round up, been a great show. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking through with you two wonderful gentlemen. Lots of comments in our chat, which I absolutely love. It's always good to get the comments in the chat, so do keep them coming in as we sort of bring it back round. But I just want to mention AD Croucher here. Good evening, everyone. A lot of pain and heartache yesterday. I'm glad I've given Freddie a call at Stowmarket Osteopaths. AD has taken the lead there and given Freddie at Stowmarket Osteopaths a call on 01449 613 633. Christian Wharton might have to do the same today with that sore back. It's not his fault. None of them really were his fault, but it's still 6 goals are a lot to pick out of the back of the net. So give Freddie a call. Tell him I've sent you from Talking Town, 01449 613 633, and I might just see you there. I'm there tomorrow myself. Okay, fans. Another big talking point of social media. Discord. Forums on the internet, such as TWTD. I think I've seen a couple of things posted on there. Fans leaving early. Being, after a 6-0 defeat, sitting third from bottom, fans leaving early seem to be one of the biggest things we were talking about, which I found strange. But Matt, you are coming in with your arguments. Here he comes on his high horse, and you're going to deliver. What is this about the fans leaving early that particularly you're thinking and feeling?
I just found it massively disrespectful to the accomplishments and success that McKenna and that group of players have delivered in a very short time period of back-to-back promotions. I mean, yesterday was the hottest ticket in town, wasn't it? When the season fixtures were announced, everyone wanted a ticket for Manchester City. After 70 minutes, everyone's got something better to do. I've got to go back to my car. Going to miss the start or call the midwife or whatever. I just found it massively disrespectful. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, BBC One. I just found it massively.
Big fan, are you, Tux?
No, but
yeah, I can imagine Tux watching that. I just found it massively disrespectful. I mean, we follow the town up and down or wherever the bloody chant is. Well, that's a load of bullshit because half the stadium was gone at the time when the club needed them. No one was going when we were beating Sheffield Wednesday 6-0 or Exeter 6-0, and then suddenly 70 minutes, all blue seats. I just found it really, really disrespectful. But out of that came, if you were still in the stadium, Tux, McKenna and the players went over to the North Stand penalty box, didn't they? And started clapping. And then the true fans that were still in the stadium all started chanting Blue Army. And it was a really great moment for a couple of minutes. And now who was left in the stadium was clapping. Felt like it was a really good energy. They knew that they'd been humiliated live around the globe. It wasn't a typical town performance. But I don't know, it seemed like stick with us, still a long way of the season to go. That's what it felt like for me.
Mike D just put Antiques Roadshow was on the... Oh, that's a good one. Real fans, bin that terminology right now, Matthew Phillips. Every single person that was there and wasn't there to support Ipswich Town is a real fan.
No. Don't agree. No. If you can find something better to do, if the last 20 years you followed Ipswich from the Premier League down to League One and back again, you've watched Morecambe, you've watched Forest Green, and then you've got a team worth $500 million on the pitch in front of you with Pep Guardiola, one of the great managers of footballing history, and you're going. I just find that absolutely ludicrous. They're still fans, but there's an asterisk next to you. You're a fair weather fan.
So, some of the things you said are fair, but there's the real fair, except the real.
That's my Martin. You know what I'm like with these things. I'm on all or nothing on these things.
That's my opinion. I'll come back to you in a minute.
That's my opinion.
I will come back at you in a minute because I disagree. We have had this all day.
Why you disagree? But only know.
All day he's been telling me you're winding me up. You're an
Ipswich Town fan and you go early against Manchester City, the hottest ticket in town, like I said in the summer.
Because primarily, what's it got to do with you? What's it got to do with you? Like, did it adversely affect your afternoon's viewing pleasure of watching your team get smashed 6-0?
Yeah, it pissed me off. Yeah, because there's because demand for tickets. When they even put like 100 tickets on the thing, there's like 10,000 people trying to get them.
But you had your ticket.
Yeah, but
so how has it adversely affected you, Matthew?
Well, I thought we was all Ipswich Town fans in this together. Are we not? Oh, we're losing 6-0 now. We're gonna jump ship. Ship's going down. We're jumping off.
But the game was moved for TV to a Sunday.
And?
You are being beat 6-0. What do you mean, and? Some people have got to go to work. Some people have got to get home. I don't know, stick the stew on, casserole.
Believe you me, if we were beating Manchester City 2-0, that stadium would have been full to the end, wouldn't it? Everyone would have been there to the end.
We weren't.
Yeah, but I do.
And that's a ludicrous argument. It's ludicrous.
I do tend to agree with Martin, if I'm honest, because I stayed till the end yesterday. That's fine. No one cares, but I stayed till the end yesterday, right?
I didn't.
I'm sure the players cared. I'm sure McKenna cared. I'm sure
those that wanted to leave early have got every right to leave early if they want to. They still pay pretty much the same amount as what you do, what I do, whatever, right? If they want to go early, they can go. They can go at minute 1 if they want, or they can go at 95. The point being is, it doesn't make anyone a better fan for staying longer. The more games you've gone to, doesn't make you a better fan.
I disagree.
But But in a way, though, what other people do isn't up to you, vice versa. So if you want to stay, you can stay. If they want to go, you can go. So the thing
I know
is,
what you're clapping for in the corner there.
there's no points thing here. It doesn't mean that you're a better fan than somebody else.
Okay, let me give you another scenario then, right? So we're in a relegation dogfight. Probably 3 of the 4 are going to go down.
That's reality, not scenario.
You got Southampton fans pissed off, changed their manager, new guys come in. He hasn't won a game yet. They're booing their team off. You got Leicester now, want Van Nistelrooy gone, lost 7 on the trot. They want them off. You got Wolves players even refusing to play for them now in that Mario Lemina. We saw how fractured they are when we played them. You've seen what their disciplinary record is like. Circle back round to Ipswich losing 6-0 to Manchester City yesterday live on Sky, and the stadium's still packed and the fans are still behind the team. Everyone will be thinking, bloody hell, what's going on down at Pullman Road? Give them something to think about.
Yeah. Instead,
what's the take on it?
Yeah, it's nonsense, but
well, it's not nonsense.
It's a great take. It's a great take. You're well entitled to it, but
I'll tell you what, if people don't want to stay for the 90 minutes, give your tickets up to the people 10,000 people that are scrambling for 100 tickets on the match day, because that's the demand of it, and they'll stay till the end.
Time out. All those people you say scrambling for tickets, if you explain the scenario of what actually unfolded, would that list itself shrink in terms of, actually, I've got a point with that Sunday?
I can boil it down to this: when the chips are up and people are watching us win 6-0 and creaming teams in the Championship, and Sarmiento scores 3-2 against Southampton, no one's leaving early.
Yeah, but you're going to get that, though, aren't you? You are going to get that. You are going to get that. Even if we're doing so well in the Premier League, we're beating, I don't know, we beat City 2-0. Yeah, of course. You're going to get fans that will stay the whole time. No one's going to leave, right?
It's not exclusive. That's not exclusive to town. I watched Newcastle Bournemouth, and Arthur St James's was gone with it at 4-1. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
it happens everywhere. Every league ground in the UK is having that. But the point being is, it shouldn't affect you. Because if you want to stay and you want to clap the players off after a 6-0 defeat, that's totally up to you. I did that. Yeah. I'm happy to.
It's not affecting me. I just found it disrespectful to a manager and a group of players that have delivered so much success and got this club back in quick fire fashion to where it once was 20 years ago.
Matt, your friend of mine, Cruncher, says Matt wasn't even going in midweek. Matt wasn't going midweek in League One.
Well, I can't always get up to the game, can I? If I'm there for 90 minutes.
Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, well, you know my personal situation, mate. I can't always get up there.
Wasn't my comment. I was just relaying to you.
But the thing is, other people have got other personal situations, so they might need to get home for something else. But the point being is, look,
that's nothing to do with me leaving early.
No one's going to win. No one's going to win. That they stay till the end. They're not a better fan. Them that leave early aren't a better fan.
Well,
it shouldn't really affect you.
I have to. No, again, I go back to my point I made earlier. You're disrespecting the manager, the staff, the players who've delivered great success. If I couldn't see the whole 90 minutes, though, so I wouldn't go to the game. I'd watch it on TV or whatever.
Sorry, I deliberated about that comment, whether I should say it or not. I couldn't resist it. It was too good to see your face. I'm sorry. Well, forgive me. Don't go leaving me. Mike, welcome in. You're one and only caller this afternoon. What's your thoughts?
Matt, you are a sourpuss, aren't you?
Well, not really. You
can't be having a go at the fans for leaving. I mean, no disrespect, right? But look, it was a miserable old night as it was. It was, it wasn't exactly warm on that stadium, was it? And your team is getting trounced. I mean, we literally had our arse handed to us. And look, some fans are like, fucking hell, I've had enough of this. I'm going. And look, it's their right. Like everybody's saying, it's their right. They paid their money. Don't make them lesser fans. Correct. At the end of the day, we're all fans of Ipswich Town, and we just got to look. It was a tough watch. The last 2 games, I'm more annoyed about the Brighton game than I am the Man City game. But I've been looking at a lot of the format, a lot of the team this season, and the last time a team was messed around like this so much was, I think, the year after Leicester won the league, because Ranieri was well known for his tinkering, and that's what we've done. Why is Broadhead dropped? Why was Burns dropped? Why was Wolfie dropped? I can't get my head around this, right? Back in 2000, when we got promoted, right, the team that got promoted, which was a championship team, right, got promoted, and we kept pretty much the crux of the team, right? We brought in a few players, and what we done here, I mean, no specs, right, but our two goalkeepers for a start make Matteo Serini look like a world-class goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Both of them are very, very, very poor. Very, very poor keepers. For this level, maybe not for the championship, but for this level. I mean, and then don't get me started on the midfield. Look, Morsey has been an absolute brilliant signing for this club. He has given everything to this club. He's been with us from back-to-back promotions. He has been instrumental in some of our play. I just feel now that the Premiership has got too much for him. He is miles behind the play. He's been like that for probably about 5-6 games, and it's that sinking feeling when it comes to every player. Look, he's played League One, Championship, and the Premier League. How many players can say they've done that? There's thousands of kids every year try and make it into sort of the Vanarama League or the League Two, and they don't make it. He's done something along with other. I just feel that now he's not a starter for me now. He really isn't, and we've got no legs in that midfield. Yesterday, it was crying out for 3 players in that midfield because it was like what I tell you what it was like watching. It was like watching my team one of my old teams when I used to coach. They were ball watching so much all the time, ball and not picking up players like Foden, and they just weren't picking them up in the area. Just your job is to defend, and if you're not picking up these players who are unmarked, then against Man City you're going to be punished. And my God, was we punished.
Well, I said earlier, Mike, that I don't think we got anywhere near them. As much as we should have picked them up, as much as we should have defended better and stuff like that, we actually couldn't get anywhere near them. That's how good they were. No,
I don't agree, Tux. I say this a lot to Richard. It's basic 101 football. As a defender, you pick up your players. Ain't hard to do. No matter how good a player is, as long as you pick up your player. And if that player beats you and scores, then fine. But we didn't do that. We didn't pick up the players. And if we can't do the basics of football in this league, right, then we are going to get punished. We are going to get a spanking. And that's the problem. Some of our defeats this year has been down to capitulation like it was yesterday and poor decision making. We've all played football to I played at low level, whatever. But if you've got to pick up, if you're a defender, you pick up your players. You pick up your players in your box. You don't give them 2 yards of space, not in the box. You make them work hard to score every goal that they do. And unfortunately, yesterday, yes, Man City, a bloody world-class team, no two ways about it. But we're having too many changes. What's Burgess done? What's Wolfie done? I don't get that. We keep changing. Burgess yesterday didn't have his greatest game, I'm not going to lie, but I don't think he was helped with the midfield, not getting back and helping out in the midfield, helping out with the defence. I thought Godfrey, again, Burns, why was he dropped? Broadhead, why was he dropped? It's just straight. Jack Clark. If someone said to me, Mike, can you run him back to Sunderland? Yeah, free of charge, mate. On my way. Because him and Muric have been the worst 2 signings this season by miles. And then we have not had a good goalkeeper. Look, Halaki did a job for us last year. There's no 2 ways about it. But I was never that switched on with Halaki. He was never a Richard Wright. He was never a Paul Cooper. I said for ages we should have signed that Michael Cooper from Plymouth. He's doing brilliant in Sheffield United right now. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day is we should be looking at really good keepers rather than possible. I mean, Muric, Jesus Christ, like Matt said earlier, he's top of the errors for goals, and you just, and there's far too many changes in the team, far too much tinkering around. Players, it just seems like players are getting game time because of how much they cost rather than whether they deserve to be there. We've got 2 players in every position pretty much, and yet the players that got us to the Premier League are doing a really good job in the Premier League, but getting dropped. It's not right. People give Burns a load of crap, but no disrespect, right? But how many times have I seen him put a ball across the box, that 6-yard box, only for no one to be there?
Which then leads back to that midfield question, doesn't it? About, getting that energy in midfield and runners from midfield.
Absolutely,
and earlier, and things like that. But Mike, go on.
We need, I get that we need some, but I mean, if we're looking for Jack Taylor and Luongo to come in and help with that midfield, Phillips is not the player he was, no 2 ways about it. Cajuste, when he's on it, he's a brilliant player, but why can't he do 90 minutes? Does my head in. We get all these players that keep getting dropped, and yet Morsey, for weeks and weeks and weeks, at the age of ripe, good old experienced age that he is, can play every game. But your central defenders can't play every game. Your wingers, Leif Davis plays every game. Your midfields can't play every game. Your number 10s can't play every game. It's bollocks, mate. Just keep to settle side. And we might have done a lot better. Look, it's a learning curve for McKenna. But my God, he's managed. He's been an assistant under Solskjaer. He was assistant under Mourinho. He's been at Tottenham. I mean, come on. You should. It really, like I said, I've been calling for 4-3-3 for a while now. We need, against certain teams, we need that 3 in the midfield. Yesterday was a prime example. We were overrunning that midfield badly, completely overrun. Every time we got the ball in that midfield, there was 2 or 3 players around a player, and you're never going to beat a side like Man City playing the way we did yesterday. It was hard watch, and I watched all of it, and it was a hard watch. But when you look at what happened to Brighton, it's. I don't know what the answer is. I just think we need to get some legs in that midfield because, quite frankly, the ones we got at the moment aren't good enough. Don't have the legs. Not saying they aren't good enough. Don't have the legs anymore, which is sad because I absolutely love Morsey. I do genuinely.
Yeah, and we all do. Absolutely. Mike, appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure. Look after yourself. All the best. He mentions, obviously, you got Karius not completing 90 minutes there, Tuck. Do you think that's a part of the modern football in the sense of you've got 5 subs, so you use 5 subs, or generally you because back in the days of the 3 subs, for example, 38 game season, 1 League Cup game, 39. You're not going to play more than possibly 40, 41, 42 games this year. Do you think that's because there's more than 3 subs these days and that managers can take a player off, that you tend to see less players do the 90, etc., etc.?
I think there's an element of it, yes, but at the same time, it does feel like Karius is being managed through games. So it does feel to me that he can't do 90 minutes for whatever reason, whether it's a fitness issue, carrying an injury, persistent knock, I don't know. But it does feel like he's being managed, so to speak. Yes, with modern football, the amount of subs you have now, you could, it's great to bring on fresh legs, and bring on like a Jack Taylor, something like that, to sort of freshen it up a little bit for the last 10 minutes or whatever. But yeah, as we've sort of discussed tonight, the massive thing really is energy, but using that midfield more effectively. I just feel like at the moment, against certain teams, maybe 5 at the back is needed, but it just doesn't give us any outlet moving forward. That number 10 area, as I said earlier, there's so much space, vacant space that no one is going into. And, when we've got a Jack Clark last night, Amari on the right, they're so spread out from where Delap is, and Delap is so isolated. And that's what Matt said earlier, but there's nothing in that middle pocket. There's nothing in there. So that's when the opposition defenders, midfielders, can have that space and ping a ball, or at least like try and find another player, and that creates opportunities for that other team then. So for me, there has to be maybe a conceding back to a 4-2-3-1. Okay, if we lose fucking 2-0, 3-0, fine. But at least we're in games. We weren't last night.
Fair point.
Would you pay 10 million for Coast in the summer then if we stay up, Tux, knowing that he doesn't play 90 minutes?
I would sign him. I think he's a good player. And you'd think hopefully by then, if there is any fitness issues, then they might have sorted them out. But I don't know if he, it depends what league we're in, doesn't it? I suppose. I don't think he'd want to play in the Championship. But yeah.
No, I agree. Matt, and there's obviously rumours that Borough are moving for Whittaker. That may obviously free up the deal that Town have been chasing or linked with most of the window. If that is the dominoes falling, what are your thoughts on that potential?
Well, Ben Doak, who's on loan at Borough from Liverpool. Yeah, someone made a good point today. Maybe they can do the deal on Saturday at Anfield whilst they're there. Ashton in the director's box.
Yeah,
but again, that's another wide player, isn't it? We keep saying, we're not. Hursty's leg is liable to fall off at any point, which leaves you just a lap. So it feels like to me we've seemed to have an abundance of wider options and not another striker to take the load off a 21-year-old shoulders.
Yeah,
that's the big issue there. But I mean, is that one eye on the Championship then maybe to get unless he's alone for the rest of the season? Maybe I don't know. I mean, it depends.
Well, I'd be signing a striker, and I heard Mick Mill say this a couple of weeks ago on Suffolk, where he doesn't want to sign a third striker because, by that time we would have got George Hurst back, which we have now. Delap will be playing, all that sort of stuff. But, Delap's not going to be here in the summer. George Hurst might be, but he's made of biscuits. So you need a striker that's going to come in that wants to play in the Premier League, but will probably drop down with us if we do go into the Championship. So I would definitely be signing a striker. You need to get Ali out on loan. This guy hasn't got it at the moment. Like, he's a young player who's been playing League Two football this time last year or whatever it was. We need to get a striker in.
Bristol Rovers and the penalty. Been seen since. Hasn't pitched on the bench, is he?
All right. All right. There we go. We've done an hour plus. It's been a great conversation. We've covered everything. Join us again Wednesday, 8 p.m, where we look ahead to Liverpool. They get easier. Where we'll match preview for Liverpool. So we turn the page now. We close the book. That was that. This man here has been the peaky one, Mark Tuxford. This one here has been Matthew Phillips. And Matt, we ran a poll to see which side of the fence our viewers were sitting. And 64% agree with myself and Tux. 36% agree with you. So, it's another loss for you.
I'm never going to change your mind on it. I'll die in a ditch on that view. So
I know you are. It's your hill and you're dying on it. It's like this. I
found it disrespectful to a group of players and the management that have done so much for this club. That's my take on it. Agree
That's
or
your
not?
last word on it. That is the last word. Like, subscribe, join us again Wednesday. But until then, take care of each other. God bless. All the best.